This regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for January 21st, 2014 will come to order. I'll ask everyone to stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We welcome this full house today, or tonight. And we've got students, I know, from Springfield High. Are any other schools represented here tonight? Anybody from any others? Okay. We're glad to have you. Okay, the first item as we look at 1.2 would be two different public hearings. The first one is in regard to Ordinance 13-27, which is amending a section of our Conditions of Service Manual under the title of meters that are loaned for bulk sales of water. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make a statement with regard to this issue? Hearing none, we close that portion of the public hearing. The second item under that is in regard to Ordinance 13-28. This would amend Ordinance 13-13 and Title 18 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Water and Wastewaters. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make a statement with regard to this issue? Hearing none, the public hearings are closed. We now ask the representative of the Thurman Campbell Group, our auditors, to present the 2013 audit report. We welcome you again to our meeting.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know me, don't remember me, my name is Jeff Proctor. I'm one of the partners with Thurman Campbell Group. I'm also the audit partner for the firm. I have with me Ankur, one of our senior accountants, one of our best auditors in the firm, here tonight as well. A good comparison, if we were a football team instead of a group of certified public accountants, I'd be the crusty old grumpy coach who's over on the sidelines yelling at everybody, making everybody mad. Ankur's the young quarterback running the ball up and down the field. He does a very good job for us.
We welcome you both.
I'm going to speak briefly about our audit tonight. Let me back up a second. I want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to work on this audit. We really appreciate it. Our firm really appreciates it. This audit is small enough to be manageable, but large enough to be a lot of fun. We really appreciate getting to help you guys with this every year. Briefly, if you guys have your financial statements in front of you, if you would turn over to page 4. This is a long report, but actually our part of it is only 5 pages, so I was counting them a while ago, which makes it quite manageable. This is our audit report. This is what we were engaged to do, was to opine on your financial statements and whether your financial statements are fairly stated with regard to generally accepted accounting principles. The opinion paragraph, which is the meat of this report, is on page 5 at the very top. You may notice that the outline and format of this report has changed a little bit from prior years. There were some clarified auditing standards that came out a couple of years ago that changed the layout of this report. But over on page 5 at the top is our opinions, and they say basically that your financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects. That's a clean audit opinion, which is what you're looking for. The second part of this lengthy binder that we're responsible for is the last 2 pages. Flip all the way to the very back. The last 2 pages of this report is a document that's required by governmental accounting auditing standards. When we're engaged to do an audit of financial statements that are a government or of an entity that receives federal money of any type, we're required to prepare this report. This report talks about your internal control and compliance as those matters relate to your financial statements. And what we're required to do is to gain an understanding of your internal control, which is the process for paying bills and recording revenue and recording assets and everything throughout the city. We have to gain an understanding of that in order to plan the audit. Well, under governmental auditing standards, we're required to tell you if we find anything wrong with that, if we find something that could cause problems with your financial statements or your financial reporting in there. And I'm pleased to announce that we didn't see anything this year. We don't go out, and we're not engaged to go out and look for stuff. We're just engaged to get an understanding of this in order to do our audit. And so during that process, a lot of times we find problems with people's internal controls, and we'll report it in this report. We did not find any problems with your internal controls here. The second part of this is compliance. We're also required to look at your compliance laws, regulations, contracts, grant agreements, your loan covenants, things like that. I have been engaged in audits where we've had to go in and tell the board, look, you're out of compliance with your loan covenants, and they could call your debt tomorrow. That's a bad situation. That's not the case here. We didn't see any problems with compliance or no issues that we came to our attention that would be material to the financial statements that we're required to report to you in this. So all those things are good as far as the city of Springfield goes. I'm going to flip back and talk just a little bit about the financial statements. I'm going to try to be brief and let you guys ask me any questions you have. If you go back over to should have this bookmarked. Page 16 of the financial statements. This is what's referred to as a statement of net position and governmental ease. Basically, this is a balance sheet. It's government-wide. There's a column for governmental activities, which are things like police, fire, general government, general administration. There's a column for your business type activities, which are basically your public utilities, water, sewer, gas, electric, those sorts of things. This is just what you own and what you owe. It's as simple as that. The top part's the things you own, your assets, your cash, your receivables, the things that are physically owned by the city. The middle part is liabilities. That's your mortgage. That's money you owe on your bonds. It's money you owe for leases or for other borrowed funds. Accounts payable, deferred compensation, things like that. The bottom part is what's left over. It's like your equity in your home. It's the net of those. What I look at on this statement is current assets, which is about the 6th or 8th line down where it says total current assets. I look at those numbers, and then I come down and I look at total current liabilities when I'm looking at this. I'm looking to see that we've got enough money to pay our bills next year. I look to see that the current assets, the things that are either cash or that should be cash within the next 12 months, equal or exceed to a pretty good margin the things that we've got to pay in the next 12 months or the next, at least the short-term period here. And in this case, they do. You've got $35 million in total current assets, and you've got $16 million in current liabilities. Sorry, I have to look a little closer. I might need to get my glasses out. The next page of the report over on 17 is your statement of activities, and it's equivalent to a business income statement. It's your revenues and your expenses. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on this. I'll draw your attention down to the third line from the bottom. It's what's called change in net position. This is your basically your bottom line full accrual basis accounting for a government. The column that goes all the way down on the left, it says governmental activities at the top, is the police, fire, police, fire, the fire department, the things that are just general government services that are supported by your tax revenues. The column in the middle there, it says business type activities, are all your public utilities, your electric, water, and everything. And then the last column is a total of those. You'll notice that the change in net position for the governmental activities was pretty close to a push. It was a negative $49,000. That was after some transfers from your public utilities, or around $670,000 of transfers from public utilities over to your general government. And then the bottom line for the entire city was about $863 to the positive. Going a little further over, you've got a balance sheet, governmental funds. This is your governmental activities column, but this is a short-term view of it. It doesn't include your fixed assets. It doesn't include your long-term debt. Generally, if it's in the top section here on your assets, it's either going to be cash or it's going to be something that's going to be cash in 60 days. Bottom side is stuff that's due pretty soon. It's accounts payable, it's your short-term liabilities. This is a very current, quick view of the city. And it just, this view is only applicable to your governmental services. It's not applicable to your business type services. They're always full accrual basis. I'm going to skip over a couple of pages. There are a couple of things I want to bring to your attention over on the public utilities, and then I'm going to open this up to questions and let you guys ask me anything you need to know. I'm over on page, I want to go to page 23. This is the statement of activities, or the income statement for your public utilities. What I'm looking at here is I'm looking at utilities to see how each of them is doing individually. This breaks down, you know, electric, gas, sewer, water, each one of them in a column here. I look down at the operating income, and I just want to mention to you guys briefly tonight that you've got a couple of utilities that are in the red. Just something I think you should be aware of, something you should be cognizant of, something you should be thinking about as you go through the year. The one that and this is kind of beyond the scope of auditing, but the one that gives me a little pause if I were a manager here, if I were looking at this, would probably be the sewer fund. And I'll tell you why it gives me a little bit of pause. If you flip over to page 24, and this is where I go when I'm looking at public utilities. I want to know where our money's coming from and where it's going and how much we got of it. And this is a cash flow statement. If you look down to about that top section where it says net cash provided by operating activities, over in the sewer fund, you've only got about $856,000 of free cash flow coming out of operations of the sewer fund. That's just money taken from customers and money used to pay your suppliers and money used to pay your employees. It's $856,000. If you flip back over a couple of pages to page 22 and look at the sewer fund, about the middle of the page, it's bonds and notes payable current. You have $700,000 of loan payments that'll be due next year. And you got to pay interest on those loans. So you don't have a lot of free cash to work with there. And I just want to point that out to you just as an example of how I read the financial statements and how I look at them. It's nothing that's catastrophic. It's nothing that's major, just something that you guys might want to pay attention to as the people in charge of the city. The other thing I like to look at, I like to look at the budget comparison schedule that starts on page 26. And this is something that you may want to look back at from time to time when you're working on budgets or when you're doing budgeting each year. But this basically is a comparison of how you performed in the general government compared to how your budget was last year. The first page there, after that big long column where it kind of breaks in the middle, there's a section that says total revenues, or a line that says total revenues. Your revenues came in short of your expectations by about $300,000. So you were a little short of revenue there. Over a couple of pages further on page 29, you'll notice just below the center of the page your total expenditures. There's a column for actual and a column for your final budget. Your final budget was about $15.5 million, but you actually spent $14.6 million. So you controlled your costs quite well here, which is a good thing, which made you have a positive overall budget variance last year of about $500,000. Now, I'm going to let you guys ask me any questions you want, and I will try to answer them. If not, Ankur will answer them.
Okay.
And let that be it, unless you have some concerns.
Are there any comments down here or questions?
Yes,
Clay?
Mr. Mayor. On page 7, it's showing the city's total debt increase during the current fiscal year of roughly $10.5 million.
Sir, where are you looking
On
at?
page 7,
Uh-huh.
here in the middle, on page 7,
Okay.
the city's
Total debt increased? Yes, sir.
total debt increased of that much, and then our assets increased of just short of, is 863,000, so just short of, just under 1 million. That increase of net worth, you're comparing real estate and gas utilities, all that's compared to, you give an estimate of what those real estate and hard.
Well, in the financial statements here, those would have been valued at cost.
Right.
What was paid for them,
All right,
okay?
all right.
And all of that debt may not have gone toward purchasing assets. I don't know, without having to get back into the details and really look it up, I could find that out for you.
No, that's fine. I just want to clarify that that's your, what exactly that was right there.
Yes, sir.
10,500 new, 10.5 million of new debt.
And that's total government-wide. That's going to be both your utility districts and your general
Well,
government.
that makes more sense.
It's
then.
not just your utilities, that's everything, sir, in
All
this,
right,
in this context we're used
Utilities
here.
and general fund.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Did you have another question? Clark?
No, sir.
Anybody else to my left?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
On page 26, you listed the taxes, and we were $38,000, which is pretty close, $38,000 above what we budgeted. Is that correct?
For property taxes, yes, sir.
Property taxes. Then in sales tax, we were $39,000 above what we budgeted.
That's correct. Your actual
That-
figures versus your budgeted.
Yeah, okay. As, of course, we find here on business tax was $45,000 less than was budgeted.
Yes, sir.
Other taxes, I'm not sure what that was, it was $21,000. But the large item here is charges for services. Of the $327,000 that we were short, $104,000 was in charges for services.
Yes, sir.
What exactly is that? Is anybody, maybe you're not supposed to know that, I don't know.
Ankur, do you recall what's in there for sure?
That's the utility.
I think it's licenses,
Licenses, permits,
any charges that I think the police department charges. Department charges, business licenses, any of those.
permits,
Mixture of
fees.
those items that goes in there.
There's several different things that go into that amount, but it would be things that the general government does that provide a service that they get some kind of remuneration for.
Can you tell us how much money we had left at the end of 2012
13?
and then 13? In other words, do we have as much fund balance at the end of 13 as we had at the end of 12
You have
in the
more
general fund?
in the general fund?
Yes, sir.
I can tell that if you give me a second to turn to the right page and get my glasses on. In the general fund, your fund balance decreased by $607,000.
So we spent $600,000 in this year's budget, is that what we're saying? Okay. Out of the fund balance, okay. And how much was left?
3.87 million, 3.8, almost
5
3.9.
more years.
Your beginning fund balance in the general fund was roughly 4.5 million. Your ending fund balance was 3.9 million. That's not cash, that's net.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, did you have another question?
No, sir, that's all.
To my right? James? Willie? Ann?
I'd just like to commend all the employees in the city, especially Ms. Murphy, for the internal audits. I know that's stressful. I'm glad that we did not have any questions about internal things going on, so appreciate what you've done this year.
I will actually comment that there were some things that came up during the year that I felt like were, after researching them a little bit, felt like were very well handled.
And I know we addressed some of them last year, so great job.
This is what I was going to say. So those have been covered, you were addressed last year.
Yes, sir.
All right. We appreciate the thoroughness of the report. You have been with us for several years and are able to follow this thing year by year. And where I know last year we talked about some lack of internal controls, obviously those have been taken care of, and certainly we're pleased with that. And we appreciate this comprehensive view of the total operation. People forget that we're a little bit unusual as a city in that we have all of the public utilities under this management instead of, for example, in Metro, you've got Piedmont Natural Gas, which is an independent privately owned company. You've got National Electric Service, which is independent, et cetera, and all of that is under the umbrella of the city, which leaves it, the fact there you've got the ability to have one accounting system, one accounting group to take care of all of it, whether it's general fund or whether it's all of the various utilities, and that is a plus in the area of efficiency. So we appreciate it very much, Jeff.
As I said, you guys are really interesting.
Okay. That's an understatement.
Anytime any of you
Come
have
back
any,
another meeting with me.
anytime any of you have any questions or anything you need to discuss, feel free to call me. I can run up here and talk to you about it, or talk to you on the phone about it, or whatever. Jane knows how to find me.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
To both of you. All right, now, next is item 1.5, the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of December 17th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Excuse me. If you favor the approval of the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered. We move now to the legislative portion of the agenda. Item 2.1 is a third and final reading on covering ordinance, actually amends Title 10 of our code entitled Animal Control. It's been thoroughly discussed. Is there a motion?
So, second.
Okay. Any discussion?
The White Dog Club is sort of running rampant on Rose Hill again.
The what?
It's, Chief knows, it's a pair of about 3 white dogs that weigh about 50 pounds apiece. I guess they escaped all the last roundup. They're back in my yard again.
We will continue that. Having feral dogs running in packs and things like that is a problem, and we'll continue working on it, and we will eliminate that problem.
And it is formally addressed in this ordinance.
But one reason I'm bringing to your attention, what is that disease the dogs have that cause all the skin to sort of
Mange,
mange, yeah. Real mangy looking.
we'll take care of it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for the question.
Snyder. Aye. Carnell.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, we move to 2.2. This is ordinance 13-24. It also is a third and final reading. This establishes a new schedule of fees for animal care and control services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carnell.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Mason. Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Okay, 2.3, another third and final reading, and this is on ordinance 13-25, which annexes almost 20 acres of property along Batson Parkway for the Robertson County Board of Education and adjacent properties of the Batson family, et cetera, and adopts a plan of services for that property. That's where the new K through 5 elementary school is to be built. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm just getting a little antsy. I tried to be real quiet this year, but I'm getting a little antsy after I saw the last TCAP scores come in November. So I want this this project will be
Well,
expedited, so we can probably,
as far as the scores, there are a lot of things that enter into that, but there's no doubt when you've got
crowd.
35 portables or whatever it is in the city of Springfield, that we've got to have something done in that regard, and so that is going to be a plus. We have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Ellis. Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Carnell.
Aye.
Mason. Head. Yes. Pass 7-0.
Okay, 2.4 is the top of the next page, and that is another item that's coming before us for third and final reading. This is ordinance 13-26 and amends the schedule of fees and charges for play at the Legacy Golf Course by rescinding ordinance 12-12 in its entirety and substituting a new schedule of fees. Is there a motion for consideration?
So moved.
And a second? Second. All right. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Knight?
I think after taking this home and considering this new schedule of fees, we need to realize that, for example, the senior rates, if you play 150 rounds, is going from $99 to $191 a month. Now, I agree that our rates need to be raised because the golf course is losing money. But we have to meet somewhere in the middle because the golfers can go down to Highland Rim and pay $1,800 a year. We've got Greenbrier Country Club, we've got Highland Rim, we've got so many in driving distance, I'm afraid we're fixing to shoot our own selves in the foot. Simple marketing.
Are you proposing something?
I'm proposing that we, I'm sure you probably want to go around the room and see how everybody feels, but I think we ought to put this off. I don't think we have enough information.
Okay, I'm going to let everybody talk, and then if somebody would like, at any time, you can make a motion to table it or to whatever you want, whatever your preference is, but my preference would be at this point, if you would go along with it, to let's hear any comments from everybody concerned, and then we'll go from there. Willie, did you have a comment on this?
No, I don't know anything about golf, so you know I don't know anything about this.
You're too busy driving that school bus to work to play golf.
He's got too many jobs.
Okay.
I don't have a clue.
All right, Willie. Mr. Hubbard.
Listening to all parties involved, and I might sort of echo what the Vice Mayor had said, you know. Of course, I'm tired of the losing money syndrome, but I'm also conscious of having these other three other competitive golf courses and stuff. So I want to make sure we sort of meet in the middle. And I've heard a lot of complaints from some of our seniors, and we have a few in here tonight, so I'll make sure we're fair at all.
Okay. Mr. Ellis.
First of all, I'd like to commend this young man for trying to address some problems.
Yeah.
As we have gotten into this, I think we've had problems for years and nobody ever said anything about them.
Right.
And I think that's why we're where we are today. And, you know, the thing that we've discussed so much has been a family plan. And I've found the family runs from 2 to 5 or 6 to brother-in-law to sister-in-law to, and that, I don't think that's the intention of it. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the intention of it is a family. And that's the way it should be. A family who lives should live in the same home, the whole thing. The rates need to be raised. I'm not sure how much they need to be raised. That's the only thing. And this is what I've said the entire time. I wondered, as he looks at this and as we look at it, if there aren't different rates for different families, not by name, but by numbers. If you have 2 in your family that's going to play golf, that's a whole lot different than 5. But anyway, that's just something to think about, and I want to know more. I have spoken, well, I'll wait to say that, sir.
Okay. Mr. Sneed?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got something to say. Ms. Snyder was concerned about that the city was losing money on this project. That was about half of what I think some of your concern was, and the other was the competition of other golf courses. At the time of this golf course was the inception of this golf course, we knew we had competition, and the planning of this golf course grew from a community golf course into a signature golf course. I think that's a problem with a lot of projects that sometimes government and special interests, when they get involved, it gets bigger than what it really should have been or could have or planned or started out as. There's a whole lot of things that if losing money was the topic or the issue that we need to address, there's a lot of different departments and fields and things that we deal with that if it wasn't for sunshine laws, I'd get with you and we could come together on a lot of those kind of things. But I've tried on some other issues with this board and it didn't come to fruition. This new management firm well, not the new management firm, but the new manager has presented his case fairly well. And since I'm not in the golfing business or know that much about it, I'll have to agree with Mr. Mason that we'll just have to defer those type of decisions to the golf management. Of course, we're only looking at about an 8-month extension. If later in the agenda we're going to extend their contract to 8 months, if that passes, then the current rates and so forth, we can review this in December again. So it's not something that's set in stone. We've changed the prices up and down multiple times over the history of this golf course. We just have to, it's a fluid situation, and based on the economy and the new management, I think we should support that new manager in his endeavors. That's all I've got to say, Mayor.
Thank you. Bruce?
I guess I'll admit I'm somewhat confused about what the correct path to go down here. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about what to do. One question I do have right now is on one of the information that we were given, listed player A through L, which is 12. Are there only 12 annual members?
No, this was just a
That's just a snapshot. Okay.
Well, what I asked Josh to do was, instead of calling people out by name, give some examples, and when I have my time to talk, I'll kind of explain my position on this, but just kind of give us some idea of how many rounds people are playing, because remember, once you play about 40 rounds, you're playing for free. And I'll put that in perspective when it comes to my turn.
I just need to hear more.
Okay. Josh, how many people hold memberships per se?
You back on the podium.
Across the board, and I'll address everybody's questions and concerns, but across the board, we're really only talking about in the neighborhood of annual pass holders. Now that excludes our Twilight package. We're only talking about mid-30s. So I think what we need to understand here is that this isn't a big part of our revenue. This whole time we've been fighting this membership, and that's it. Nobody's taken into account. They say they have the course in mind, but I'm beginning to think a lot of people don't have the course in mind, because nobody's bringing up the fact that we're making the course more accessible. We're making the rates, these golf courses that you're worried about, that you're talking about, they should be worried that we're lowering our rates, our rack rates, our daily fee rate. They should be worried, not us, because we're offering a product that they're not. If they want to go to Highland Rim, they can go to Highland Rim. There's going to be greens going under, there's going to be fairways lost, tee boxes. We're more of a golf course, and we've had that conversation before. The inclusion of, on the weekends, senior rates, wasn't there before. We're now making the course more accessible to the seniors. Military rate, nobody's talking about that. that we're doing more for the general public, but we keep fighting this membership. It's a very small group. And it's a drop in the bucket of our total revenue for the year. And we need to worry more about that daily fee and a lot less about this membership. And that's what we did with our rates. So, and I mean, for 150 rounds, it doesn't matter who plays it. 150 rounds should cost a decent amount of money. That's a lot of golf. That's a lot of wear and tear on the course that Josh has to take care of. So we got to take a lot of these things into consideration. And at the senior rate, even on the weekday and weekend, I don't have that average with me, but it's probably about $30. For 150 rounds, we're talking about $4,500 that any senior off the street would pay. So what are we willing to give it to a member for? $1,000? That's a lot of money. That's $3,500 in savings. That's way too good of a discount, and that's what we offered last year, an extreme discount, and we need to get away from that.
Are there any other questions while he's at the podium?
Yeah, clear it up. I mean, I'm not a,
Go ahead then, Jane.
Yep.
I'm not a golfer, and the comments I've gotten over the years that we do have a great golf course, okay? So I guess I'm worried about, and I'm trusting you on this, that regardless how many other golf courses we have in proximity, but our product is the best. And that if they want the best, you know, they will pay to play on the best. So is that kind of what you're saying?
I mean, the goal was, they already know that it's the best golf course.
Okay.
Now that the fact that they're now going to be paying the same rate off the street as the course that's not the same quality,
Okay.
should scare those guys, the other courses, because now you can play the Legacy for just as much as you can play all those other places, where we were at times over $10 per round more. Well, now we're not, and now we're offering other specials to get them in there. That's what the marketing is. That's where it's at. We should be focusing on that stuff, the daily fee stuff, the senior rates, the military rates. We should be trying to get more rounds out of Clarksville. You know, and that's what we're trying to do. That's where our marketing should be placed.
And that's what I want to hear. Our product is
It's better than everybody else's.
Okay.
Yep.
We also need to remember as a board that these folks are paying membership when no one's playing on the golf course this month because it's so cold. We have to keep that in mind, that this money is continuously coming in.
Okay, other questions of
Question,
Yes.
is there any free play at the Legacy, including golf course employees?
Free play? No. I mean, no, we've had the problem of people trying to play the course without paying, driving their cart onto the course and things like that. Employees do play for free. That's a Billy Casper policy, and as long as we're managed by Billy Casper, our employees will play for free. We do not, and I want to state this, you know, this is part of the reason why I'm here. You know, and we talked about this over the last couple of times. The reason I'm here is because there was some lax attitudes on some things. Well, there's none of that anymore. You know, we joked about it a little bit. You know, if you have a wallet in your back pocket and you want to play the Legacy, come on out. That's the mentality. But we're not giving anything away for free because nothing at that golf course came free to us. So
Billy Casper employees do play for free.
Billy Casper employees play the Legacy golf course for free, as well as, and just, it's part of the benefits package. They can play all 150 Billy Casper courses included in that.
Is that part of our contract with them?
We don't specify that.
But I could tell you that there's not a whole lot of our employees that really do play. I mean, the couple that do, I'll be honest with you, they play, but it's not they're not blocking up tee times. They're not doing anything like that's hurting daily fee. And to be honest with you, if I have 4 employees standing in front of me saying, can I go play the golf course? I'm like, right behind those 4 guys that just paid. That's the mentality we take. You know, paying customers go first.
Okay, one more question.
Absolutely.
Is there any exchange of play for services?
The only thing that has come across was the previous agreement, and if I mess up any of these names, I'm sorry, because this was before I got here, but I believe it was Tony Doris when he, you know, with the, you know, homes being built around the course, there was a deal that, you know, if a new homeowner wanted to come and check out the Legacy, then they would have, there's certain rules that they have to abide by. You know, someone from the company, like 5 Star Builders, would have to come to us and say, hey, I've got a potential homeowner. Can they come out and play? Or they would bring them right to the course and say, hey, these guys are looking at buying a house and they'd like to see the golf course.
That don't live in the county. That don't live in
At that point, I mean, we're worried about, you know, new golfers from 5. We're worried about someone building a home on our golf course. We want to get them out there.
I don't think it mattered under the Doors contract. We have done something similar, but we've restricted it to people outside the county. And that's what we're operating with now, and I don't know if we've had a single person come play.
Yeah, I've been here now for 6 months, and it hasn't happened once.
Any other questions?
Just one more question.
Okay, Bruce.
Your management, you're going to instruct your starters and rangers to be more diligent in their knowing who's on the course and what they're doing there, and are they properly paid and checked in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's part of the reason, you know, coming here, once again, why I am here is because we didn't have a staff that was completely trained properly. And going into next season, we will have that all taken care of. We are putting signs out on the course in certain areas and what we call hot spots, where we've been told that people have tried those spots to go onto the golf course without checking in. But, yeah, 100 up and down the board, everybody's going to know the rules, and if our starters, our rangers don't want to enforce it, to be honest with you, they don't need to have a job.
Thank you. Did you have a question?
Comparison. The thing that I see the numbers, and you don't have what I have here, I don't think. Pass that to him. Under your annual fees, it says full green fees only, and I'm assuming that's one person.
Yeah, the full greens fees only, though, that doesn't come with a cart.
Okay. $1,200. What was it last year? Do you know? I mean, do you know?
You're looking at last year's number.
I'm looking at
Yeah,
last
this is last
year's.
year's. The one that, on the front of the page that you just gave me, this front page, that's last year's numbers. This is 2013's annual fee. This isn't what I proposed.
This is what?
This is not what I proposed.
Oh,
This was 2013.
That's what I wanted to see. I'm sorry. I wanted to see what you were proposing.
This one.
She has it. I just wondered how much
So-
that went up. You know,
So-
that's the only thing.
For the other numbers that I gave you, the most common membership that was signed up for in 2013 was the $1,560. There was no cap on it. You could play as many rounds as you wanted. And from the list of players, they played anywhere from, 31 times, which didn't really make out on that deal, to upwards of 150 times. And that's checked in rounds, which is the other scary part that we talked about. Like, were they checking in with the pro shop? Did they just go out? And, but either way you look at it, 1560 was the most common membership signed up for last year. And so under the new rates would be Monday through Friday, a senior would be $800 for their pass and $10 every time they play. And this is for a Springfield resident. That's $200 discount. So that's, and I guess that's kind of the rate we want to talk about because we've been concerned about the senior play. But on top of that, like I said, the inclusion of the other rates, the inclusion of the Advantage card, which is a discount card, we're making it accessible for more people to come to the course and not even cheaper for our members to play.
Mr. Nutty, you had was up.
I really want to make this clear. The board's got a lot of data. The most important thing, don't pay attention to the annual fees right now for purposes of this discussion, because that is crazy. That certain aspects of it just needs to go away. That was a bad experiment that needs to go away. That's even giving more golf away for free. Now, let's focus in on the 90-something% of the people who play the Legacy Golf Course out of the 25,000 rounds we play a year. Their rates are going down. Where you see, and I handed this out because on paper because it's getting a little too busy with everything, all the data that Josh gave you. But if you go the weekday rates, the weekend rates, and the cart fees, that section, the rates are going down. That affects over 90-something% of the players, okay? Now the issue is annual fees, and I'm glad Ms. Schneider brought that up. Why we had an annual fee in the very beginning was simply this. In the months of November, December, January, and February, people aren't playing golf. It's too cold. Now, we'll get some people out there, but we won't get enough to pay operations. So when the very first year we opened the golf course, we said, let's offer an annual fee that they pay in January, December, whatever, for the following year, so we would have cash flow for the months that people weren't playing golf. Now, to be extra nice guys, we've done away with that. Now you can play by the month. And now, you know what? They've got to come to finance and borrow money, ask money to be transferred, so we can pay payroll for Billy Casper. This thing has come off the rails. It's a bad experiment. And what I would suggest, and what Josh does, he's going to cut our losses, and I'll explain what the losses are with the new rates, but it doesn't close the giant loophole, which means if you pay an annual fee, there has never been a limit on it. Now, let me say that most of the people who have been paying annual fees for the history of the golf course have been people who know we're going to play, you know, a little more than once a week, between once and a half a week, reasonable golfers. So you're going to expect people play 60 rounds or something like that. You know, that's like a 33% discount. That's reasonable. And I'd say most of the people over the years have been in that range. That's why we never really challenged it. But now we're getting to the point where we're getting people playing 100 rounds. Now, if you look on Josh's sheet, I asked him for comparison. For example, last year, if you paid the $15.60 annual fee, which is the green fees, cart fees, and the range, you were paying $15.60. If you paid 100 rounds, and this is just kind of the craziness that's going on, the comparable number of rounds, 40, for an annual fee payer would have been $4,000. You lost $2,440, and you only made them pay $15.60. Now, you can't operate something like this by giving up opportunity costs to have people pay the rack fee $40. Under this year's, what Josh had done, and this is just the first few simple exhibits, in 2014, if you paid 100 rounds, you're going to pay $2,130. The rack fee, because their rates are coming down, they're only going to pay $3,450 for 40 rounds. So your potential opportunity cost now has been cut from $2,440 to $1,320. It's still a problem because it's still an open-ended deal. And here's what, and I told Josh, if we went to this, I view this as a transition to kind of keep people kind of similar to what we've been doing, but collecting a little more money on the annual fees. What I think we should do is go back to the original concept of an annual fee. We are collecting an annual fee because we need the money in the wintertime when people aren't playing golf. You come in, you pay your annual fee. There should only be so many of them. Top it about 40 and say you pay the annual fee. And by the way, when you come in, we'll give you a 33% discount. So if you pay 40 is the even break, we'll let you play 20 rounds free. That's a 33% discount. That's pretty darn steep, and it's worth it if you play a lot of golf. And then, when you play your 60 rounds, you are done. And we're still we're taking a deep discount, but we're not paying less than half price for annual fees. And stop this monthly stuff and letting my wife play, my kids play. I mean, this is a bad experiment, and it needs to stop. So focus in on what we're doing for 90 to 95% of the people who would love to play this golf course. And I do want to give our regular customers a discount. We've treated them more than fairly. We gave them an excellent deal. And I would be the first one to say, if you sign up for an annual fee and you didn't play 40 rounds, the annual fee's not for you. Don't pay an annual fee. But with what Josh has, there's plenty on it. You can still get a discounted rate every time you play. So if this year you only play 28 rounds, well, you can still get discounts without having to pay the annual fee. So I simply want to keep this in mind, and I know most people here are not exposed to golf. They don't play golf. Ann is familiar. She plays. I play. So we're a little more familiar with what's going on. You know, we're trying to make things simpler from a rate instead of having this, 10, 11, 12 different options on annual fees. Let's get back to something more simple. So I understand it's a little overwhelming, and I do understand if you want to put this decision off tonight. But keep in mind, however, we're getting ready in March, and I think we're going to have a good round. Well, I think we're going to have a really good year because the golf course is looking better. We put a lot of improvements in it. I think Josh has got a lot of good ideas about running a leaner, meaner, but better operation from top to bottom. So we need to settle on these fees sometime before the end of March at least. So I'll just leave it at that. If you have any questions, really, don't hesitate. If you want to see the golf course, you want to see what's going on, if you have any questions, though, any combinations, hey, if you had a question, Josh, what would I pay this year if I wanted to pay 55 rounds compared to he'll answer that question for you. So please don't hesitate to do that. And I'm sorry, it's a lot of data for you, but I did want to make it clear to you about what we're trying to get to. I did want to say also that pursuant to what Mr. Head was talking about, I want to make it clear that no city employees get discounts or city officials get discounts at all. It is also very common in service industries for people who work in those industries because they're not particularly well paid, especially the guys who, mow the greens and things like that. It's not a particularly high-paying job. So it's not unusual for people in the food business to get comped a meal or something like that is for what they're doing. So I think it's really very few rounds as far as what we give up in a year.
I probably should have brought that up when you asked that. The only free rounds we would and we have given out other than that are PGA members and Golf Course Superintendent Association of America members. And like you said, it's a courtesy for being in the industry, but it doesn't happen very often.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, if I could just, about the meeting in the middle, and Paul probably hit on it a little bit there, I just want to make it clear that we are still losing money on the membership. I think we are meeting in the middle. I think we've given some ground and we have listened, and I know that the golf for members is going up a little bit, and I can appreciate their thought that, hey, it's going up, but it's not going up that significantly for the amount of rounds that they are playing.
We thank you.
I got one more question.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've had a lot tonight, Bruce.
Sorry.
I thought we would beat it. Last time we were up here for 30 minutes.
We're trying to be more competitive with our competition, and we're meeting that. And as you've stated, they need to be aware of that because of the product we have. How competitive is our proposed annual fee with other golf courses?
See, I think, and I've got some, some ideas here. We've got some Pebblebrook is offering a deal, and it's $900. It's for just one. If you wanted a couple, it'd be $1,200. $10 cart fee, no range balls included. I would Pebblebrook's our closest competitor. You know, it's close to us, it's right down the road. They are in fairly good shape, but shape isn't the only thing that you have to think about when you're talking about a golf course, the quality of it. It's about the layout. And our layout is what sells our greens, our, the rolling terrain, those kind of things. No gimmick holes, those kind of things. We're a true signature golf course, as you called it earlier. Pebblebrook is not. So we're not really comparing apples to apples there. So, $1,000 to play our course as an annual pass during Monday through Friday, hands down, is a better deal than them paying $900. So we're competitive, but once again, I want to reiterate the fact that the biggest thing we need to worry about is now we are hands down competitive price-wise for the general public.
Okay.
Mayor, call for question.
All right, floor is open.
Can you discuss now?
Well, yeah, we can continue
I
to
didn't know
discuss.
when he
Yeah,
called for the
that'll be
question.
fine. He's called for the question, but he hadn't got a second.
Question or vote? Which one?
He's calling for a vote, is what he's calling for.
Second for the vote.
Okay. Now, discussion is in order.
What I would, sir. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
What I would like to see is us, I don't mind the rates being there. I think some of this is because of what's happened the last few years, and I want to say that's our fault. It was poor management, and we let it happen.
That's why we have new management.
That's why we have new management. And Josh has done a really good job. People hate to change. You understand all that.
He's tough.
What, I'll ask the city attorney, how could we go about, can we raise rates or lower rates tonight?
Okay, our city charter provides that between the second and third reading of an ordinance, there cannot be any changes if they are material or substantial. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what it boils down to. Where something is just about fees and you're changing the fees, my view is that would be material or substantial, unless it's just a minor adjustment. And there's some cases that say it depends on the circumstances of the case. That's what the case law is on what material and substantial means. It goes on to say if nothing new is added to it, or if what is taken from it does not render it misleading in its fundamental content when passed, such alteration will not be so material or substantial as to characterize the ordinance in its final form as a different instrument from the previous. In this situation, if there's going to be some significant changes in the amount of the fees, and it's all about fees, it's the only thing in the ordinance, my view is if it got to court, that would be considered material or substantial, and you can't amend between the second and third reading.
All right, are there other questions?
I think without the vote.
Other questions before we vote? Call for question.
Carneal,
No.
Head,
No.
Sneed,
Aye.
Mason,
Aye.
Snyder,
No.
Ellis,
No.
Hubbard,
Aye.
failed 3-4.
Are there any other motions regarding this matter?
I would like, excuse me,
Go ahead.
I would like to have a meeting
Yeah.
and just so we better understand. I'm not saying I'm opposed, but I think the rates need to go up in some situations, no question. And I think Josh did the very best job he or anyone else could have done. And you're talking about 35 people, 36 people, whatever. I would like to sit down one night and just, like, the question that I was going to ask you is that one thing went up to, was $1,200 and something dollars, and I don't know what it went to. I'd just like to see what the amount is, and if we could do that, have a meeting some night.
Yeah.
And just want to say a couple things. I mean, those figures, I gave you those figures in the first meeting for the rates. And just in closing, we're opening ourselves up to the exact problem that we were trying to stop. So at this point, we're worrying more right now about the smaller portion of our play and not the bigger portion of our play. And I think that's sad, and that's what we're talking about, loss of money. At this point, I don't really think, yeah.
All right. This is our decision, if you want to call it. Would you like a work session on this? Is that
Yes,
what you're
sir.
saying?
Yes, sir.
It has to be done
Pretty soon.
pretty soon in order for the, if we could get it out of the way pretty soon and get it passed in February, that would
We
give
have
you
time
enough
for
time
March.
for the March opening.
I'd propose February the 11th.
I would like also, sir,
I would
Go ahead, Mr. Ellis.
I'd like to, I'm not sure whether I'm amending or making a motion.
Well, there's nothing to amend.
No, nothing to amend.
I would like to add this, this item again to the agenda later, and it takes 5 votes to do it. And let that be one of our meetings that we have. It takes three votes to pass this. If we can come back and pass it once tonight, it's already failed there. But this could be one of 3 votes, and
It's up to you.
it would count, and we could actually be through
It would help
January,
to speed it
February,
up.
March.
Okay. All right. You want to make that motion now that it be added to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
later?
Second it.
Well, that's
All
not
right.
our meeting date. Our meeting date's 18th. He's
Be a
saying a
week.
special
Yes,
meeting.
Special
I'm saying,
11.
yes, if that's, well, wait just a minute though on that.
Yeah, that's-
What he's calling for is to add it, it's been defeated.
right.
He wants to bring it back up tonight
To count as one.
to count as one reading.
And
Now,
then the
between the first and the second, it can be changed. You follow me?
Yeah.
But it can't be changed substantially between the second and third. Am I right, Jim?
That's correct.
Okay.
And so the second would be the 11th.
That's what he's.
For the special meeting.
Yes, if we agree to that. Okay. Now, Mr. Ellis is moving that we bring this back up tonight for reconsideration. If you favor this being added to the agenda, are we voting to add it to the agenda, or are we voting to do it, Jim?
Add it to the agenda.
Add it to the agenda. All right, we're going to add it to tonight's agenda. We'll put it at the end of the legislative portion, which will make it a 2.9. All right, any further discussion on adding it to the agenda? We got a second on that?
Yes, sir.
All
Second,
right.
I second it.
If you favor this, vote aye. If you oppose, vote no.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Okay. All right. Item 2.5 is ordinance 13-27. This is a second reading, and this is on concerning meters that are loaned for bulk sales. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Any discussion? Is there any discussion on this matter? If not, call the roll, please.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed. Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right. 2.6 is also a second reading. Is there a motion for consideration?
Second.
Okay, any discussion there? Call the roll, please.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, now 2.7, this is a first reading. Ms. Connie will read that ordinance in its entirety.
Ordinance 14-01, an ordinance closing the unnamed alley located between White Street in front of the Gorham McBain Public Library, approximately 179 feet to a second unnamed alley running along the west side of the Gore McBain Public Library property, and conveying the property to Robertson County and the City of Springfield for the benefit of the library expansion. Whereas the Robertson County Commission and the City Board of Mayor and Aldermen have requested that the unnamed alley lying in front of the Gore McBain Public Library and shown in Exhibit A attached be closed. And whereas the Springfield Planning Commission has reviewed the request and recommends to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen that the unnamed alley be closed and the property be conveyed to the joint owners of the abutting property, Robertson County, Tennessee, and the City of Springfield, Tennessee, for the benefit of the Gore McBain Public Library. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, the unnamed property lying between White Street and a second unnamed alley running north-south along the west side of the library property and further described in a survey by Stephen E. Arts, Exhibit A attached, is hereby closed and conveyed to the abutting property owners, the City of Springfield, Tennessee, and Robertson County, Tennessee, and used for the benefit of the Gore McBain Public Library expansion. Section 2, all ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only. Section 3, this ordinance shall become effective upon its final passage as required by law.
All right, you've heard the reading of the proposed ordinance. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Schneider. Carneal. Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 7-0.
Okay. 2.8 is a resolution. This is 1401, which would authorize the issuance, sale, and payment of up to $1,020,000 of capital outlay notes and levying the appropriate taxes for payment of the notes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Paul, you want to comment on that?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a method, a compromise method, to try to get the money to fund the library in time to bid this and award a contract, and to achieve what Mr. Head was concerned about, and I concur with, that it would be best to have the library included with the sewer bonds. We know the sewer bonds are going to have to be sold, more bonds are going to have to be sold in the next 5 or 6 months. What this does is it takes out a capital outlay note of $1 million. It will get the money up front. It's only a 3-year capital outlay note. We're not planning to pay any principal or any interest on this note. What we're planning to do is, when we prepare the bonds for the sewer, we'll include the $1 million to pay off this note in that bond issue, and we will refund this capital outlay note. Is that correct, Jane? Basically.
Okay, good explanation. We have a motion and a second.
Yes.
All right, in discussion. Please call the roll.
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Schneider. Ellis. Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, now is 2.9, which is bringing this matter back up about the schedule of fees and so forth at the golf course. Is there a motion to be acted upon?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Mr. Nutty?
Just to intent here, are you talking about bringing the same ordinance up that
Take
failed?
this ordinance that failed.
Okay. So I would assume that, let me put it this way, my recommendation would be to approve the rack rates and exclude the annual fees, if that's the issue, that we're not comfortable with how we're going to work the annual fees. And so basically what you're going to do is you're going to change the exhibit. So you're going to take off everything except what's on that Exhibit A, that first page.
Amended it?
Well, basically, you're bringing up a new ordinance. You're introducing it as a new ordinance.
Okay.
and you're going to remove all the pages, other pages behind it that include the high school fees, that include all the special rates on there, because that seems to be the issue that the board is not comfortable with.
if you are comfortable with the rack fees, keep those, and then on your second reading, on the February the 11th, then add to that on second reading, all your special fees. And then pass it again on third reading. And then you'll have your fees in place. That's my recommendation.
Mr. Ellis, is that in keeping with what you're?
I think it is. I didn't quite follow what Paul said. We're going to take the first proposal as a whole.
No, what you're going to do is, let me just show this to you. You've got your cover ordinance, and then you have Exhibit A, and you've got your weekday advantage card rates, your weekend advantage card rate, all those, that one page, immediately behind the cover ordinance. That's going to be your exhibit for this reading only. Everything else is going to go away. All those special fees that are on the other exhibits are just going to go, because that's what you're not comfortable with, and that's what we need to try to work through. So my position would be keep that first page of Exhibit A in the new ordinance and just add the other things on second reading, because you can amend on second reading.
Correct. Now, the work session will not be a voting meeting.
Yes, it will.
Yes, it will.
Yes, it will. You don't have to call it work session. It's going to be a call advertised meeting. Yeah.
My only question is the work session, I guess you can iron it out at the work session to be what you want for the second reading, but you have to do all that in that night then.
That's probably an inappropriate word for it. It's here, it's there as a single issue item, basically, so we can work through it, have more time to work through
Special
it.
meeting.
But it is a special meeting is the proper terminology for it. Any problem with that?
No, I don't think
Okay. All right, does everybody understand what you're actually voting on? All right.
Strip down.
And this gonna be the first reading on this, right?
Yes.
A stripped down version.
Does everybody understand Mr. Ellis's motion?
Probably need to make that clear that we're only implementing the one set of fees.
Describe what that one set of fees is, Paul.
That would be the first page of the original Exhibit A is what we're approving only, and that deals with the weekday rates, the weekday advantage card rates, the weekend advantage card rates, and the range buckets and trail fees.
Okay, who made the motion, was it me?
Hubbard made the motion and Ellis second.
I made the motion.
Yes, sir.
And Jerome, you second.
You second.
Is
So
everybody in agreement on that?
the motion
Are you
was,
two in agreement with that?
I'm in agreement with accepting page
One.
one.
Mr. Ellis, you are.
Exhibit A.
All right. Everybody clear on that? Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
All right, and now without objection, we'll set the extra meeting at on February the 11th, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Okay, we move now to the administrative, the monthly adjustment of electric rates. Mr. Gardner?
Slight increase, 0.66%,
We always,
0.6% increase
Okay.
in the month of February.
we always 6 or 7.
Motion? Is there a motion?
Move to.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
All right, 3.2, the monthly gas rates. Mr. Limley?
At 4% increase this month for the purchase gas price from 0.5772 on 60
Okay, 4% up. Well, he's been doing a pretty good job of going down, so I guess we can't fuss too much this time.
The polar flex.
We gotta rub that in a little bit on the
is
electric
winter.
part. Yeah, it is winter. Robert's a good sport though over there. All right, is there a motion on the gas rates?
So move.
Second.
We certainly need to keep the gas flowing. I'd say. Call the roll, please.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head,
Yes.
Ellis,
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, 3.3 is to change the overnight situation is regarding certain traffic signals on main highways. Is there a motion this be discussed?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay, the proposal is to change this from the cycle that they're currently on to a flashing caution after certain hours, 10 o'clock or 10:30. Mr. Sneed, I believe you brought this up. Do you want to comment on this?
I just think it's past time that we do what I see other cities do with their stoplights in the middle of the night, and with fuel costs as high as they are and the lack of traffic in the middle of the night, I don't see why we're still got our lights making people stop when there's no opposing traffic.
All right, after analyzing this, Public Works looked at it, Mr. Ellis, and the engineering firm that helps to advise us on traffic signals, et cetera, proposed that those be changed at 3 locations if we approve this. And Mr. Ellis, those are, Alan Ellis?
Yes, and Jim brought up a question tonight. We probably need to run it by TDOT if we decide to do this. I don't think there's a question about it, but we need to run it by them.
Okay, well, we can vote on it subject to their approval if we didn't have the authority to do it. Tell us those 3 locations that are.
Red light number 3, which is Moreland Drive, right there at Shoney's. Red light 1A, which is Black Patch, and then Bill Jones Industrial Drive, which is number 1.
All right, and the proposal would be to convert those to a blinking light after
11 o'clock till 5 o'clock.
11 to 5, 6
Mr. Mayor.
hours. Yes, sir?
That was their proposal. I'm going to go a little bit further, and I passed out a cut that's the motion that I intend to make on what I want to change in the form of a motion. Is what I've sent to you, and I can read it out loud.
All right, now, what you are proposing, Mr. Sneed, was to change what you don't say. You say the ones you don't want changed. That's the light out, what's the number of the one out by the credit union? Is that number 9?
I don't think
Dixon May.
And that's, you've got the one by the Memorial and the ones on Tom Austin.
Well, I'll present this cut sheet, maybe clarify it to speed up the process, and I can make them word it in the form of a motion if you'd like me to. Just propose to make a motion that we change the lights in the city to flash between 10:30 and 10:30 p.m. and 5 a.m. on all the stoplights between Bill Jones Drive and 10th Avenue, with the exclusion of the light at Tom Austin. So I'm talking about that.
One more time so everybody will understand what you're
proposing. To change the cycle of the lights so that they flash yellow for the main road of Memorial Boulevard between 10:30 and 10:30 p.m. and 5 a.m. between Bill Jones Industrial Drive and 10th Avenue there at Wendy's, with all of those lights except one light, and that's the one that Tom Austin at Captain D's Walgreens.
All right, you understand what he's proposing. And that has a motion and a second. Is that right?
I have another question, I guess.
Oh, there is no second. All right. Let me get the second.
Okay.
Is there a second to this?
Second.
All right, now, what's your question, Will?
Is this light between Central Avenue and the bowling alley, is it gonna be on the blinking?
Yes, sir. That's the way he's proposed it is.
don't
It's
think
everything on Memorial except the light at Walgreens.
I don't think that's a good idea. We have a lot of people
Like
coming in
one.
going to work at Lexus, right? And they're not gonna like that.
Keep in mind that
They're going to trouble.
And Mr.
under
Parker is
normal,
going to explain the other side of this.
yeah, keep in mind, under normal operation, those signals are set to do a green rest on Memorial all the way from one end of town to the other, all the way from Fifth Avenue, hit it south all the way out to, where is it, Allen, out there? Bill Jones Industrial Drive. they're set to do a green rest, meaning 24 hours a day, they're biased green on Memorial until somebody pulls in on the side streets. Now, the reason they haven't been working that way, we've had some bad loops. We had a bad loop on Central, and we still got a bad loop on Fifth Avenue that hadn't been repaired, but all the loops have been repaired except the one on Fifth Avenue.
That's correct. All the loops are now working except the one at Fifth.
So when the state came in and did their resurfacing, they got some of our loops, but they came back and repaired them except the one on Fifth Avenue.
Which, what you're saying is when, let's just take the scenario, say it's 11:30 at night, it's all green on Memorial for the stretch that you just outlined.
When they're all working, it should be all green from one to the other.
And that's where the main flow of traffic is, and they're allowed to go on.
Right.
They do that if it's green, or they do it with the flashing yellow. From the side street, as the motorist approaches, say on Central Avenue, and gets to the light, if it's in that mode, he trips the circuit, and it turns green for him and stops the traffic on Memorial. That's the way it presently is operating, 24 hours a day.
Right. When the loops are working, that's how it works. But now, the intersection at Central and Industrial Drive there by O'Reilly's and at 10th Avenue by Wendy's.
Those work together.
Those three are synchronized together.
Yes, and they need to be. All right, you hear Mr. Sneed's proposal. If you would favor changing all of these lights to operate as he proposed from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., you vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no. Call the roll, Ms. Gunn.
Ellis.
No.
Hubbard.
No.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder.
No.
Carneal.
No.
Mason.
No.
Head.
Yes.
Failed 5-2.
All right, now, next, we have a vacancy on the airport board for the city due to the fact that Mr. Tracy Langston has moved outside the city, and Alderman Sneed has offered to fill that position on an interim basis, and exactly what do we mean by that? Is that till this term is up, or what are we going to do?
Well, there's some issues going on at the airport that I think need some attention, rather than some special attention.
I agree.
And I have no intention of being on this board longer than it takes to rectify some problems that I feel that are going on out there.
You're willing to serve for the time being, is what you're saying? All right.
To appoint Mr. Phillips.
Motion's made.
I second.
And duly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of Mr. Sneed being allowed to fill that? If that's your preference, vote aye when your name's called. If you oppose, vote no. Ms. Connors?
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Clean it up, please.
3.5, discussing the acquisition of a dump truck for Public Works. Why is that not under the consent docket?
Because there is a twist to that.
Okay?
Because
That's what I want to
the
hear.
budget is $85,000, and that was a straight dump truck. As you know, several of our dump trucks are used for snow removal, snow winter operations. They have under state contract right now the opportunity to get dump trucks with special hydraulics to work the snow plows, the salt spreading, all of that. The problem with that is that's going to be, if you choose that option, that's going to be over $17,000. Now, the original plan on this is to purchase a dump truck for Public Works on a 6-year note for $85,000 approximately. The straight dump truck is going to be a little higher than our budget, and we'd have to amend our budget anyway we go if it's higher than in the budget. But it's between $88,500 and $89,500, $89,500 and $88,500. So just a little more for the straight dump truck. But some of our older dump trucks are the winter use dump trucks. There's a 1991 in particular that really needs to be retired. We have a few trucks older than that, but that's in pretty bad shape. And so I think what Alan would like to see, if possible, is to to go with the winter-style truck, we would have to amend the budget, and my recommendation would be to extend the note on that instead of 6 years to 8 years. We're buying some big pieces of equipment this year that will be on an 8-year note, and we could roll that over to an 8-year-old note instead of a 6. But then if they don't want to do that, you're open to just bidding again next year on a straight dump truck?
If we don't want to do that, I think we would want to put it in next year's budget. We'll put the full amount of money in there necessary.
The 17,000.
The 117,000, but agreed, but of course, you know it'll be more, because it is a state contract. They let once a year, and, but that's what it is.
Would you be able to get it now, I mean, this winter?
No.
Okay.
The only 2 trucks we have that are plumbed, the biggest thing is you have to plumb these things for the front plow and the spreader on the back. There are only 2 trucks. One's a 98 and the other's a 91. It's 23 years old. And that's the one we're wanting to replace. Now, the 98 is plumbed accordingly. It has the proper deal on it. So that's why I left it up to y'all. If we can't do it tonight, then we would ask that we could maybe get it in next year's budget.
Okay. Paul?
Well, now remember too, it's not gonna, we will have to amend the budget, but we're not really having it cash out, because we're not paying principal and interest this year. We get the money from the bank, we pay for the truck, we pay principal and interest starting the following year. So if you did want to buy it this year, rather than just put it off another year, we just roll it into an 8-year note and amend the budget from 85,000 to 117,619. You're not paying cash for it anyway this year.
I think he needs it, but I wonder if he's not going to be able to get it for this season, why don't we go on and just put it in next year's budget? That's just my opinion, but we can do whatever anybody wants. I'm just one vote. I want him to get the piece of equipment that he needs, and we do need to replace something that's almost 23 years old. Have we got a motion?
No, sir.
Move to approve.
Which are you approving?
Proving that we buy the truck.
This one off the state contract?
One off the state contract.
Okay.
At 117?
Approximately 117,000.
17,000.
State contract. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
How long did it take those trucks to come in?
What would be your estimate, Alan?
I'm estimating at least 2 to 3 months, something like that. And
From
I know the
now?
garbage trucks take about 4 to 5 months to get those.
Okay, any further questions?
So if you had this ready to go in next year's budget, say in July or August, then it would be here in time for the next winter.
Depends on when the state rebids their contract. They do that once a year. I mean, not really certain, Bruce, but I would think it would be ready sometime by the middle of the year, by the January or something, December, January. So either way.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
is there a chance that prices could go up on the vehicles by that next contract?
Absolutely. They will go.
All right, we have a motion and a second to go on and buy it off state contract. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Any further questions? Call the roll, please.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder. Aye. Carneal.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head. I didn't hear you.
No.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 6 to 1.
Okay, 3.6 is the authorizing an 8-month extension of the golf management contract with Billy Casper so as to expire at November 30th. Is there a motion?
So, I move for approval.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just had a statement. November the 30th is when 3 of our terms are up. I don't know whether you'll be contracting with us or with, whether it might be somebody else. I don't know.
You'll have a contract signed well before then. You'll understand the purpose for the 8 months.
Yes.
Okay.
Campaign like these to stay on the road.
All right, let's call the roll.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal. Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder. Aye. Pass 7-0.
Mayor, I'll bring the actual contract itself to next month's meeting. You can formally approve it.
3.7, discuss and possibly take action on the creation of a utility construction fund. Is there a motion? Is there a motion? Dies for lack of a second. A motion. Consent docket. Motion?
Move to approve the
Second.
whole entire.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis. Sneed.
Mr. Sneed, did you go to the consent?
I'm sorry, the consent, yes, yes.
Alderman Ellis, you did say yes also, right? Okay, pass 7-0.
All right, we are through with the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I didn't have a 3.7 on my agenda.
What it was,
Yeah,
mine.
yeah, that's what I was talking about. They were there earlier, but I'm missing several too now.
It's on ours.
It's on mine.
Mine too.
I've never had 3.7 on mine.
That was it.
It's on ours.
Well, I'll tell you what the
I ended up
confusion,
thinking-
I'll tell you what the confusion was.
I did describe what it was.
Yeah.
But I know.
Yeah, we had tabled that at the last meeting. Mr. Sneed, myself, and Mr. Lee Masters had a discussion. When we got the thing together, because there was a table, and we've agreed that as this work on the sewer system continues to go along, there may be a possibility that we'll be discussing this again. But right now, we have no immediate need to do a lot of open cutting. That doesn't mean we will not at some point in this contract. So I just thought it would be better, because it was tabled, to put an agenda item on there if anybody wanted to pursue it at this time.
All right. Is there anything, you heard anything first?
Yes, I do. We do have, your quarterly reports have been emailed to you. You also have a hard copy in your boxes. Pursuant to what our auditor said, we do have a letter from the state comptroller, and I will put that in your boxes. I think we got it in December, reminding us that we are underfunding depreciation in wastewater and water. And we know that. We know we're going to have to raise some rates some more. In looking at the sewer rates, I've noticed that over the years, the minimum rates on sewer have not been raised in the same proportion that the other rates have. And if we got them in proper proportion, that's $250,000, but you'd have to raise the minimum rates about $3. They usually run about 34% higher than the water rates, and they're consistent all the way through except in the minimum rates. So just changing the minimum rate to what it should be proportionately will raise over $250,000 in revenue. That's all I have.
Okay. Anything further? Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor, I'd like to get Mr. Gardner's cell phone number, so when I'm coming through Springfield and those lights aren't green. since he had-
Well,
since
you
he
talk to
had-
him,
I think
see if
he
he'll
was the
give you the cell
primary
number.
reason for shooting my idea down. I'm gonna give him a call and say, Mr. Gardner, these lights are not green.
All right, you can try to get that number. Meeting's adjourned.